Carbo NRT, Inert Tracer Technology, enables the high-definition evaluation of fractures in sand and ceramic completed wells to help you optimize the completion efficiency and production and field development. Let Carbo help you optimize the frac.
Welcome to this episode of Onshore Connect. I'm your host, Heather Houghton. In this edition, Hart Energy recently spoke with Proppant tech firms Hexion and Fairmont Central about re-engineering billions of grains of frac sand. But first, I want to take a moment and thank our sponsors. Adam Harper, a technical sales manager with Hexion, discussed resin-coated proppant and how their specialty proppant helps counteract flowback problems in the Permian Basin. Let's listen in.
What frac sand trends have you seen in the Permian?
I think the trend over the past couple of years is, let's just run more uncoated frac sand rather than using curable resin-coated sand, rather than using this specialty proppant. And I think that works to a certain extent. You may see these higher initial productions, but the declines I've seen on these raw sand wells have been pretty significant declines. With the resin-coated proppants, you don't see that decline. You see longer term, better production over a longer term. So that's really kind of what we've seen in the Permian in particular, and then overall, I mean the directive for most of our companies out there has been, let's keep costs to a minimum, let's reduce our use of specialty proppants. But I think now that we're able to look at the data over the past 2 years that's been done, I think that technology is going to return as a focus rather than just cost savings, because they're going to see that using these better products results in better wells. Since curable resin-coated proppants form grain-to-grain bonds, they create this unified proppant pack, and that really does have several benefits. The first thing is that it can control proppant flowback. Since they have a unified pack, it helps to hold sand actually in the formation. When proppant actually flows out of the formation, it's not doing what you paid for it to do, which is keep the fractures propped. And it's not. And as it flows out, if it makes its way to the surface, it can potentially damage equipment. So proppant flowback is probably the number one thing I would say that most users of resin-coated sand use it for.
How big of a problem is flowback in the Permian?
It's a big problem everywhere, right? In the Permian specifically, what we're seeing in some areas is these lower temperature wells. So a lot of resin-coated proppants aren't going to be able to bond at these lower temperatures without the use of some kind of consolidation aid. What you're seeing now, the trend in the industry is our company as well as our competitors are developing products that really fill the need of the customers to bond at these low temperatures and to do it without the use of an activator.
Hart Energy also spoke with Dr. Sid Banerjee, applications engineer with Fairmont Central, about new self-suspending proppant technology and what that could mean for water usage.
What is the premise behind self-suspending proppant?
Fundamentally, when we start talking about hydraulic fracturing and how effective it is, a lot of it is based around issues of what they call proppant transport. Making these fractures that would allow oil to sort of flow through or gas to flow through is great, only if they stay open. So a lot of work is really focused around, well, okay, once we make these fractures, how do we actually get proppant into them? And a big sort of box, this big category of proppant technologies that have tried to address that are self-suspending proppants.
Describe the new coating of Fairmont Central Propel SSP and its advantages.
It is a man-made polymer, kind of in the same family as a lot of existing commercial friction reducers. Now, it used to be that polymer couldn't tolerate high salts. You had to use fresh water. That was a lot of our work. Now, we've made it so that it hydrates and you still get this very low viscosity, non-damaging, easy to break transport technology, but you can do it with the worst waters out there. I mean, I could literally pull, if I was on an offshore rig, I could pull seawater out of the ocean and immediately use it in my frac job with no cleanup.
What is the outlook for Fairmont Santrol's new Proppant tech?
The new chemistry that tolerates really high salinity, really high hardness water, that actually only got commercialized about a month ago. So we are still building our run history there. In the next couple of weeks, I've got 3 different operators and 3 different wells that are going to be running it. But right now is the time to really start gathering all the data, all the different possibilities to see, hey, where does this work best? What sort of things do we want to look for? How do we get the biggest payoff for it in areas like the Permian, where water isn't as fresh and where recycling produced water or flowback water is a lot more important.
Do you see any trade-offs with the new Proppant tech versus other Proppant types?
Economics is always going to be a trade-off. So new technology does cost. And if you're traditionally doing gel jobs, it's really easy to show how the higher proppant cost here is offset by chemical usages and costs elsewhere, and I can make a frac job sort of neutral. But if you're traditionally doing slick waters, you will generally pay a little bit more upfront. It is my assertion that you will make it back and increase productivity, but that requires a lot more analysis, a lot more sort of reservoir engineering work. So there is the sort of economic aspect of it. People have to be willing to gamble on new technology and on that cost. I guess the other trade-off is that it does require a little bit more work. For this technology to really get the biggest bang for your buck out of self-suspending proppant, you have to think about fracturing in a whole new way. You have to think about a different set of limitations about how much I can add, where my cluster spacing should be, how close together my wells should be. If all you do is basically take what you've always done and just replace the proppant with self-suspending proppant, you're not going to take advantage of the full benefit.
Onshore Connect returns next month with an outlook on water management trends. We want to thank you, the viewer, and our sponsors for making this program possible. Until next time, let's stay connected.
To stay up to date on the most recent Hart Energy videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking here.